Keep playing.
Welcome back to another episode of Eagles Weekly. Here are your hosts, Brett, Haas, Mac, and Jack. How we feeling, fellas?
All right, welcome back to Eagles Weekly, episode 27, powered by Believe Network, presented by Home Field Apparel. This is the comeback episode for me. I'm one of your hosts, Brett Ryder, joined today by the Lunch Pail Boys, Mac Hutchinson, Jack Cyberlick. I didn't forget. I heard it. I heard that, and it motivated me to get my ass back here. So I apologize to you guys. Hand up. I was absent. You guys picked up the slack, so I do appreciate that. And
it was no slight to you, Brett. It was no slight to you. Just nodding, giving a nod to Mac and I for being the ones to show up. You know, the lunch pail guys.
Yeah, Brett picked up the slack too. He wasn't even on other pods this week. So
yeah, Brett. Yeah, to be fair, Brett, you did go on a foreign podcast, so you did make up for it.
I did. I had to. I had to get my reps in, especially since I fell short of the team. But it's all about the team. I'm here today, and we got an action-packed episode tonight. We're gonna discuss New Balance first and foremost, which it's like funny to me. Like the New Balance thing wasn't really a big. I'm sure you guys feel the same way. It wasn't really like a big deal to me. We've all known that this was coming.
I think everyone has kind of known.
Yeah. It's been a thing for, 4 years now that they've been New Balance, everything else. So
yeah, going back to my freshman year at running cross country at BC, we were Under Armour and stuff, like different teams were different brands, whatever. But we had New Balance shoes, like that was our kind of shoe deal, I guess. So New Balance has kind of been always around. It's just got more and more prevalent the past couple of years. But yeah, it's no surprise. That football is doing it, but it's cool that we're like their sole power conference university for football. But yeah, it's an exciting time. New unis, new everything.
Yeah, I wrote an article on Eagles Daily about the.
Yeah, you did.
And
you did.
I wanted to kind of point it out because I think this could be a huge deal for the BC brand. I think I brought up, it might be a little dramatic to bring this up, but I think like there's reason behind it with kind of bridging BC with what kind of Oregon did with Nike, and I think that relationship where they had with Nike really obviously lifted up their culture and their brand a lot. BC using kind of New Balance now with not only just the brand and being able to represent Boston and New Balance being the only, the only company representing Boston, but also the research behind their technology. You can kind of start doing like unique sort of sneakers and uniforms and things like that to really kind of lift that BC brand. And I think there's a lot of room there for students and student athletes and everything. So I think if BC does this the right way, they could make this, be something that actually helps them get recruits, where they can kind of stand out within the other schools in the ACC, the other Power 4 schools, and really show, hey, we have this brand behind us that's going to get you not only really cool gear, but like be able to perform at a higher level as well. So
the whole dad shoe joke, that shit's got to end. That can't be a thing anymore. Everyone from Jack's age is down is wearing 550s, so that's gotta stop.
I feel like this is old too. Don't you?
It is, and I do think New Balance is kind of shifting away from that image because you see, like everyone's seen like the what's that commercial? It's like the commercial with like Cooper Flag, Cameron Brink, Shohei Ohtani. Yeah, like they got like some serious athletes behind them. I think like I think like Kawhi Leonard, Tyrese Maxey.
Kawhi Leonard was like the first one.
Yeah, they got a good repertoire of like professional brand ambassadors. So I do think it's like a good stock to buy right now if you're a college program. So I do think it's a big deal.
And BC being the first one, it's local. If they can, they're obviously going to really get behind BC and help them build their brand. From what I've heard too, and some of the mock-ups that I've seen, it does do Boston College a lot of justice, just in terms of it's got a throwback feel to it, but it's not. I would describe it as kind of like a modernized throwback, where BC is a very clean cut type of school, and they really kind of keep in line with that. And the jerseys, they're pretty, they're nice, they're not like over the top crazy. They're not, it's not Oregon, or Oregon. Is it Oregon or Oregon? Oregon.
Say Oregon.
I always say how many sides are in Oregon, so I think it's Oregon.
Oregon. Okay.
My question, I guess, the fun question to you guys and to myself, I guess, would be, looking at the Oregon, how they're pretty crazy with the uniforms. Like, how crazy would you want them to kind of take this? Like, they could take this pretty crazy if they wanted to, or do you think you wanted to stay kind of traditional with the fluty colors? I know Bill O'Brien's talked about that, like where he really wants to go back to that old school look when like Flutie was here, and so that's kind of like, what are you guys' thoughts on that? Because I know they tried to do a little bit with basketball. I know their bird ball jerseys are really sick. What's your kind of vision on the aesthetic going forward? I would
like it to be traditional. I think what I really would like is for them to. I want their gold to be like that mustard, bright yellow gold.
Dude, yeah, the ugly gold works, right? Yeah. Like the old school student section with the gold in the corner, right?
Totally. Yeah.
Like, Jack, think of how much faster would you have ran if your uniform had mustard yellow gold in it as opposed to traditional gold? You might have made the Olympics.
I think so.
It stands out, right?
Let me see. I might be able to pull out an old New Balance.
It's kind of like the gold with on the new socks uniforms.
Yeah.
Like this gold right here. This?
Yeah.
I feel like that pops. Like, you kind of saw like Minnesota did that. They kind of turned to that like really mustardy gold. Yeah. And it pops. Like, when you talk like maroon and gold, like, what's gonna pop up on the TV screen? What's gonna get more views? Like the very brand, like, kind of almost beige gold that they were going with the last kind of 10 years is not working.
Yeah, and then it also just like makes the maroon contrast that much nicer. I think right. Jack, I don't think Jack, you can't find it.
I can't find the top, just the bottoms. But we had my last couple of years when we switched from Under Armour to New Balance, we had some pretty sick singlets. So I do think New Balance really does value the BC partnership, because I know when we switched like our full uniforms, not just shoes, to New Balance, we had a lot of the kind of more not exclusive, but a lot of benefits being in Boston. Like, we had some really good, like, cool New Balance prototype shoes, cool new gear. But
were you guys running on the track? Were you guys using their track?
Yeah, I mean, we got early access to the track and everything. So I mean, if they're willing to do that for Boston College track, I mean, I'd imagine they're really willing to invest in BC football. So I think that is it's very exciting. I think they'd sponsor like Maine or something, like a couple FCS teams, but nothing serious. Like, I think this is a really big step for as big a step it is for BC being the sole New Balance partner. I think it's pretty equally big for New Balance as well.
It's huge for them. If they want to continue to build their brand from the whole dad shoe joke, which they've started with Kawhi. They've continued it with Shohei, among some other professional athletes. Like
Cooper Flag.
Cooper Flag's a huge one. I keep forgetting that. But, if you really want to continue to build your brand, start in your backyard. Like, BC is a great place to start. BC is slowly becoming relevant. And I think, like, you slap a New Balance logo on some decent looking jerseys. And here's the kicker. Like, if you could actually start to sell, like, please, like, if anyone from New Balance, if this can please get out to anyone, like, please start selling your replica jerseys, because they will sell. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah,
like, the bird ball jerseys that came out this year, those would have flown off the shelves. Even the Adidas whatever, the Adidas jerseys this year, like they have these like crappy, terrible like t-shirt replica jerseys. Like obviously those aren't going to sell, but if you actually sold the jerseys, those definitely would sell. They've been doing it with the basketball and the hockey, and those sell. Like, please, like, make the jerseys, sell the merchandise. Like, come out with all of it. Like, you guys have good hats, you guys have good sweatshirts, hoodies, t-shirts, all of it. Like, do the whole damn thing, and like make your branding like very, very thrown back and like classical, traditional Boston College stuff.
Yeah.
And you will see like new and old, like the new guy, the new guard of BC fans and students and alumni, like they will sell that shit out too. And you already know the old timers, me included, Mac, you included, that's going to sell. Like,
I feel like the brand access, like preach, Brett, because the fan access to merch is just so, I don't know why every year we have merch that people want and just the fans don't have access to it. Like especially with the old, every fan is like screaming for the old school logo. So like we want to see it on the field, we want to see it on our merch. Like give it to the fans. Like this is what we want, and it's especially with the bird ball stuff, man. I mean, a lot of that stuff was so swaggy.
the hat was so sweet.
Like
Even
the
the
hat
hat
with the BC and everything like that. Like
Yeah.
that's the shit that we want to see New Balance like really push with the football program and just like make it accessible.
Absolutely.
Get the fans, because at the end of the day, we want people, you know, repping that merch to expand the BC brand around Boston, and people are going to start being like, hey, yeah, you got to remind people in Boston that there's only one Power 4 school in New England.
Yeah.
And how do you do that? You do that through the merch. You do that through
Yeah.
culture. And that's like the coolest way to do it is through an apparel like brand like New Balance. Is you kind of get the culture and people excited behind the brand, and you can do that so easily with merchandise. Just make it fan accessible. Yeah,
It's funny too because I wore this to the gym today. It's a woman's jersey, but I like to pretend it's a Prince Oligbe jersey. But I wore it at the gym today, right? And I see a guy with a BC shirt on, and we both kind of looked at each other and nodded at each other. And like in my mind, I'm like, you know, hell yeah, like BC, and like, but it's weird because it's like if I seen someone wearing a Red Sox shirt or a Patriot shirt in this area, I wouldn't even think twice about it. But I see someone wear a BC shirt, and I'm like, hell yeah. Like this guy knows what's up. Like it's kind of rare around here. Like let's make that a more normal thing. Like and give us the opportunity. Like why are we begging you to like buy merchandise from you?
Yeah.
That's my biggest thing. I want to do it.
Program for the
Yeah.
school. Right.
There's revenue for you. There's justified revenue.
I do wonder if New Balance is going to do some leading up to the season in July, August, if they'll do some sort of huge gear drop to like get people to bring a lot of attention to to BC from their perspective. Because I mean, I think that shit will go pretty fast in my opinion, at least among us and our people. But I mean, hopefully they do kind of roll out the red carpet for football this year, and I think they will. I think they should at least be smart. If you're trying to break into, if you're New Balance, you're trying to break into like big time college football, and BC's kind of your foot in the door. Like it's in their best interest to do some sort of big deal, kind of massive gear drop prior to the season to get a lot of as much eyes as possible on New Balance and BC. So hopefully that happens this summer.
Take advantage of BC football and show off what you can do. Like that's what I want to see, because like you guys kind of brought up is they have this great opportunity because BC's kind of that niche like market type of thing where there's just like room to expand there. And it kind of falls suit with what the brand's doing overall, like the whole Cooper flag thing where it's like, it's kind of, starts with that Boston roots, right? Like this kind of region with the Cooper flag and kind of doing that, picking BC as the first power NCAA, football school. Take advantage of this. Like we want to see what you can do. And I think the biggest thing I'm excited is what they do with the red bandana uniform. I think that is like,
oh, true.
That's going to be, I feel like the big thing that's going to show us and give our first impression about what this brand is. Like, are they going to go all out different? Are they going to stick to what kind of the uniform was before? Like, I'm very interested in what they their vision for, BC football is.
You know, Mac, this is why you get paid the big bucks. You think about shit like that. I
Yeah,
didn't
think
even
of-
think that. I never once thought about the red bandana uniform.
That's going to be their big
Yeah.
first show, man. I mean, that's the
I will
next-
say, pressure's on for them for that because that's like one of the few things that BC's like nationally is really known for is the red bandana story uniform. So that's kind of like their first big media test, I guess.
You think
red
about
bandana.
them. Think about from the New Balance perspective. They're looking at like, man, did we pick the most perfect? Not only the most perfect program, but the most perfect year. I mean, BC is going to be playing 3 playoff teams this year. They're going to be on national television for the Michigan State game, the Clemson game, the SMU game, the Notre Dame game. Like they're going to have the red bandana game. That's 5 probably primetime national spotlight games, like set for BC football.
Who's the red bandana game?
They haven't announced that yet, but I
decided.
But you know, that's what I'm saying. Like this brand's looking at this like, man, the pressure's on. Let's really put out uniforms that are going to pop and like show off, you know, this school because this is their first impression. Because I think a lot of people that you're talking about have this idea of this brand and haven't really heard about New Balance, and they're starting to kind of work their way in here. So not only from the BC brand perspective, like the nice thing is that I think New Balance is trying to also make a big case for themselves and do something, you know, dramatic to get people's attention.
Yeah, and if you want to do that through us, I'm so for it. And I think, you know, with the way that the season is trending, like this could be a big boom or bust for them. You know what I mean? Like this could really turn out to be. And the red bandana game is the SMU game, which is weird.
That be confirmed?
What's that?
Oh, that was confirmed.
When did they? Oh yeah, it's marked on the schedule.
Yeah, November 8th.
That's pretty late in the year for it.
But,
I thought it was going to be the UConn. I thought it was going to be the UConn game.
I like that because I think we talked about this last week. That's the most winnable playoff game we think. So, or playoff team I could play. So
yeah, they're probably worried to do it against Notre Dame for obvious reasons. But
I feel like they couldn't. I think if Notre Dame's on NBC, they probably weren't able to pick that game because I think ESPN sponsored game, but I could be wrong.
Oh yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
The Boston Red Sox have a first inning ERA of 12.83 this season. It's an MLB record. Continue.
I have it on in the background, Brett.
I don't know. I have it on over there too. I'm not checking.
7-0. Oh, that's fun. Yeah, good time.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, Mac. To your point about how it's such a perfect partnership with New Balance and all these nationally televised games on the schedule. Kind of speaking of Brett's point, the boom or bust thing. I don't want to speak it to existence, but there's for New Balance's sake and for our sake, I just hope we don't get smashed on national television debuting these sick New Balance uniforms and just becomes kind of like the butt of the joke. Like, oh, the New Balance school is, of course, it's there.
Oh God, I know. Right, we've been dealing with that.
There's also that kind of world too.
Big risk, big reward, right? There's total risk there for sure.
Yeah.
Because I think
I will say. Yeah.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was gonna say. I mean, I will say for how kind of difficult last season was from the quarterback changing and everything behind closed doors. I feel like Bill always got the guys up and ready to play. I mean, they didn't. They went 7-6, but they didn't have a ton of bad losses. I mean, they took SMU. They took SMU to the brink. They played. I feel like they played everyone pretty competitive. Like Louisville. Louisville was a terrible choke, but I mean, it was lost by one possession. So I do think Bill's going to have the guys up and ready to play for a lot of these nationally televised games because I think this is kind of like his DNA as like a 10-year kind of coach. But man, that possibility does cross my mind. It does worry me a bit. But I'm excited nonetheless to get a lot of eyes on BC and on New Balance.
To your point, their only big loss was the Virginia Tech game when they just got absolutely thrashed. But
Virginia Tech too. I mean, they went down. They made a one. Remember, they went down 28-0.
4 unanswered, and then we had like 3 unanswered. It was like crazy.
Yeah, and we had the ball at midfield down 28-21, driving, and then I forget if they got stuffed on 4th and 2 or something. But
it was
we had like 4 4th and 1s we couldn't make that game.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Who was the quarterback?
And that was I think the bigger issue.
Thomas,
Is who was the punter in that game, because every punt in that game felt like a turnover. Basically, I remember
punting
that.
and then the inability to get a yard, and they of course were in shotgun almost every time. So that's another big thing, which will be interesting this year to see if BC actually has a quarterback sneak play, which I assume Bill O'Brien will finally have in his playbook this year, which will be a major difference in playing.
The tush push.
Yeah, maybe something like anything's better than shotgun.
They didn't ban the tush push in college.
Yeah.
But oh my God.
Yeah.
So many. Yeah.
On your point though, Jack, I think for the pressure's on though, because we talked about the schedule and everything lines up where that first Michigan State game, whether it's from a uniform perspective or from BC or O'Brien's perspective, that's where all eyes on BC again. And we've talked about all eyes on BC before, and there's not as great of a track record as we want to, but there's a huge opportunity here for the BC brand because right out of the gate, pretty much the second game is going to be
that. Yeah, I mean, we spent all last episode talking about that. I mean, that Michigan State game sets the tone
for
the rest of the season. Yeah, because I mean, like the key to this season is really getting as many wins as possible in those first 5, 6, 7 games.
You have to start
Mac. I mean, Mac, you said it last week. Like, if you don't, it's going to be really hard. If you don't start 5-0, 5-1, it's going to be really hard to get to seven wins. Much less 8 wins, which we haven't hit in.
You kind of almost have to start off 5-0 to get 7 wins comfortably.
Just to want to sniff 8 wins, yeah.
Yeah, 4-1 obviously was the thing that we kind of fell on, and then even 4-1, you're like, man, how are we going to get to that 3 more wins?
4-1, and then you got UConn, which you should win, but UConn's not a gimme. And then
That's not a gimme.
The other ones are Clemson, Louisville, Notre Dame, SMU, Georgia Tech, Syracuse, who are all tough opponents.
We're beating UConn. Let's knock that off.
Hey, I mean, we lost them 2 years
at
ago.
home. Yeah, at home you got to beat them, but yeah. But even the Cuse game at the end of the year, you don't know what type of team they're going to be. Who knows about that? I mean, every game. I'm just
the boogeyman, Fran Brown.
Yeah,
we should win. Are still tough. Are still going to be tough games.
Listen, it's a tough schedule. It's a tough schedule, but like, it's a phenomenal opportunity for them to continue to show that they are making progress, like within the program, within the conference, within the country. Like the schedule last year was a lot tougher than the year before, and they won 7 regular season games as opposed to 6. It's kind of funny if you think about it too. Like, could you imagine the Jeff Hafley team if he played that schedule last year? Not to mention like if a Bill O'Brien team played the 2023 schedule, like it's a fucking joke. Like this team is so absolute joke, and this team is like I talked about it on the AJ's pod last night. Last year coming into the season, the faces of the franchise, whatever you want to call it, the faces of the program was TC, it was Robichaux, and it was Louis Bond, right? Like we didn't even know that Donovan Ezaraku was like still alive, for Christ's sake. I mean, he had 1 good game the year prior. Like we had no idea. Like it was amazing that what he was able to do. But the way I look at it is like, look at the team this year. Look at the potential like faces of the franchise. Like there's a lot more power on this team. There's a lot more star power. Starts at your quarterback. Like you have 2 quarterbacks that are better. Either one you're going to put in, you're fine with them as the face of the franchise or whatever you want to call it. Louis Bond, my guy Reed Harris, who honestly I didn't even name last night. Like AJ brought him up, like Turbo Richardson. Like there's a lot of people that you can name. Like I would argue that position for position, the starters this year are better. The one on offense, the one iffy problem that you're going to run into is your offensive line. But like this is college. People graduate, people get drafted. Let's see. Like I'm not gonna do this whole charade of like the offensive line's gonna suck because I don't know who the 5 offensive linemen are. That's probably not how it's gonna go. Like they're probably gonna be fine. Like I guarantee you that whatever offensive line they put out there is gonna be a solid offensive line. It might not be as good as last year. I mean, it's pretty tough to replace Ozzie and Drew Kendall, and I think they lost one other. I think they lost your boy. Mac, unless is Jude back?
No, Jude's back.
He's the one returning starter.
Yeah.
Right? So,
yeah.
So bang, there you go. There's our anchor.
Barry. He's going to be
There's
the
your anchor.
I love the attitude,
Perfect.
Brett. I love the attitude because I feel like this is one of the more talented teams we've had going into the season, right? You have the most depth.
Has to be.
As most positions, I would say, pretty much every position has a pretty decent depth. And I think when you talk about the most important position, which we've talked about before, is the quarterback position. And we've never had this much depth, ever. And so, I mean, you got the right guy at head quarterback. You're going to have, one of the more talented quarterbacks coming into the season, depending on which one Bill O'Brien picks. But there's a lot of upside. As much as there is downside, there's as much upside in this season and I think for fans, I mean, how can you not be excited about the schedule? I'm just kind of coming into the season thinking, man, you're going to get just like the best matchups you can possibly imagine at home, right here in Alumni Stadium, right here in Boston. So for Boston fans that are listening to this pod, like get your season tickets or get scalping right now because those
got to scalp. They're sold out.
Yeah, they're going to get some epic games here, and then you're looking at this team, and there's tons of upside. We talked about the D-backs too. This is going to be one of the best secondaries we've ever had too. And you got Tim Lewis, which I know you mentioned on the podcast too, Brett. I mean, talk about him being a surprise as well. I mean, as much as we gave you shit for that last year, I mean, no one knew who Tim Lewis was unless they were like watching the NFL back in the 90s. Like this guy came in here and really did incredible things with what he had, with the roster that he had last year, and kind of, made a really solid bend don't break defense. So now you have both of these teams, and again, this is going to be the first year Bill O'Brien at Chestnut Hill with a full off season. So we've never had a full off season in the entire, since we've been here. So that's going to be huge. I mean, I think people aren't thinking about that. Like when he came in here last year, it was just the middle of the spring. It was like a month ago, basically. That's going to be a big deal. And I'm pretty excited about the talent that they have. And again, I think the quarterback situation is going to give us a lot more wins than people are talking about.
Is there anywhere else in the country too where a 5-loss season would be as celebrated as hard as Boston College? Like, think about it. If we go 8-5,
8 wins is going to be insane.
If we go 8-5, we might claim a national championship here. We might pull a 2007 or 20.
Like when the Knicks beat the Celtics. It'll be like that.
It'll be it's Knicks 2025 Knicks or 2017 UCF. Like they win 8 games in the bowl game. I'm fucking claiming a national championship. Not really, but like you get the point. Like it's going to be a big deal. And with this schedule, it's still possible.
You get one more win, and then Brett gets his Super Bowl, the Pop-Tarts Bowl. So
I want that Pop-Tart. I went on AI yesterday. I made a Freaky Baldwin by accident. It's kind of weird. It looked like he was like, kind of like lick the Pop-Tart or something, was like assaulting it. I don't promote that. I typed in Eagles mascot fighting the Pop-Tart Bowl mascot.
Gotta work on your prompting skills, Brett.
I know. But I want that bowl. I want that. Like the college football playoff is great. Like, trust me, would love to be there. But like, you got to walk before. I mean, you got to crawl before you can walk, man. You got to walk before you can run. I want the fucking Pop-Tarts Bowl.
The bowls came out the other day, and there's a lot of great bowls for the ACC. So, even if you don't make the playoffs, there is like some of the best bowls, like you said, the Pop-Tarts Bowls. Like, I mean, it's right there on the table. If you do make a special season, you do get that 8 wins, which for BC, that's a special season. That there's a lot of fun times I could have in the
give me an 8-4 regular season and a Pop-Tart Bowl win. Are you kidding me?
Brett, I'm having a tough time finding 8 wins on the schedule. Mac and I were talking about this last week. I hate to be that guy.
It's okay.
Hey, beat Michigan State, and then we can start talking Pop-Tart.
Yeah, if we start 2-0, and then we'll start talking Pop-Tart. I just want to play a bowl game in a football stadium. I can't take another game in a baseball stadium.
Oh, that would be nice.
Love Fenway.
Yankee Stadium. Credentialed media, Brett. We've still not been to a football stadium for a bowl game. So
When's the last time we even played in a fucking football?
Warm weather
Stadium.
bowl would be nice too. You know,
Even because I even think like what the Quick Lane Bowl. I mean, that was like Detroit. That was cold.
yeah. Anything south of Mason-Dixon would be preferred.
The Birmingham Bowl was like a torrential downpour. I think that's what's
the worst luck with bowls, man. We've had the last.
Is that going to be the ECU game, the one that we couldn't play in? Is that going to be the
No, that the
East
Birmingham
Carolina,
Bowl
was
was since Cincinnati and AJ Dillon's last year.
Yeah.
ECU game was the Military Bowl.
Yep.
I remember the AJ Dillon, the touchdown that never counted. Right? Remember we went up 7-0 and then they canceled.
So that was that was played in the Alamo Bowl, whatever game that was. Right. The non-contest game against Boise State.
Yeah, there was a 5-year stretch where we were like were bowl eligible 3 years and like only played one bowl over like 5 years, I think. Or something.
Yeah, that was fucking stupid. Like, I'm gonna be very honest, that was like very dumb.
That was bad for the brand.
The Independence Bowl in 2013 was in Louisiana. We got absolutely shellacked in that game, 42-19. I forgot about that. Holy crap. We just play, and even in like, go back to 2011, we played Nevada in the Fight Hunger Bowl. That was in the Giants Stadium. Like, can we really need to knock this off?
Well, we need to get back to postseason, some good postseason runs, because I don't know. You know, some of the younger folks probably don't remember this, but I remember when Tom O'Brien was here, we had like 11-game winning streak in bowls, and it was pretty epic. The run that Boston College went on in these bowls, in the postseason. So we got to get back to, obviously, it's nice we're kind of back to consistently being in a bowl game. We got to continue that, but we got to obviously win them. I think that last, I mean, I got to say, not winning the bowl game in Yankee Stadium last year hurt a lot, because I think that 8th win would have been such a big deal, man. That would have been. Do
you want to guess what our record is since that winning streak in bowl games?
It's not good, right? It was like 1 win, Brett.
2-7.
Yeah.
Oh.
2-7.
You were on you remember that, Brett, right? Under Tom O'Brien, that was pretty quick. Yeah.
I got it right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We won 8 bowl games in a row. Yeah.
It was like a national record for a while, and then
8 in a row, yeah. And then we lost to Vandy in the Music City Bowl. The Music City Bowl is a bowl. I don't think that's an ACC bowl anymore. That was a great one.
That was a big deal.
That was a fun one. I don't think it's called the Music City Bowl anymore, but you know, whatever sponsorship lines up with them. But as a matter of fact, you guys keep talking. I gotta look something up.
I know, Jack, we talked about the first kind of 5 games. I mean, are you just happy with it? I would think that we're just happy if they can find 3-4 wins in the last. 3 wins in the last 6 games would be big. But what do you think the chances are that they pull off? I think there's a good chance that we can compete with SMU. We competed with them.
I agree. We competed them last year, and they're not going to be as good as they were.
And I agree with Brett. We should beat UConn at home, and we should beat Syracuse. Even though I think Syracuse is at home game too.
Syracuse is at Syracuse.
Oh, it is at Syracuse. Okay. So
you take out Clemson and Notre Dame, because those are teams that are going to be eyeing like on a national championship. Between Pitt, Louisville, Georgia Tech, Syracuse, you just hope you can like split those. I think go 2-2 in those 4, and then maybe you can steal one of Notre Dame, Clemson. It'd be fucking awesome if you did that. But it's tough. It's tough schedule. But it's what you want. It's like what Brett was saying.
I'll take Notre Dame. I'll take Clemson. Either one of those, man. I think if you steal one, I think people are fine with a 6 or 7 win season if they can beat either Notre Dame or Clemson. Man, that a big win.
Well, this
like
is remember last week I said I might rather go 6-6 with one win being over Notre Dame than 8-4, and then
I think a lot of fans would
losing
take that.
I said that somewhat in jest, but the more I thought about it, the more I was like, that would be pretty sick.
I just think back to all the big games where we had the opportunity to knock off Clemson. I mean, that game with Halfley up 18 points. And then, again,
there was two games.
There's multiple games against Clemson where, man, we're up and everything's there for us to take. So
Purcell dropped the ball on the 12-yard line, chance to win the game.
We really haven't had a big win since like USC, Red Bandana game. Like I can't think of a big top 25, legitimate top 25 team, not Florida State last year. I'm talking about like a legit playoff team.
Yeah.
It
sucks that they were so bad last year because that would have been such like a marquee win to start the Bill O'Brien era. But now you just look back on it and be like, Florida State was the joke of college football that year.
It was unbelievable.
But dude,
I hope they stay that bad.
They found their savior.
Worst quarterback.
They found their savior for $1 million. So,
is that how much he got? $1 million.
Can't speak to it. I can't, but if I had to guess, the quarterback of Florida State, he's got to be making $1 million. I think.
What did DJU got paid quite a bit too?
He got paid even more than that. Yeah,
he reeked as well.
Listen, we have 3 quarterbacks better than their quarterback.
The whole thing with him, like I don't even care. Like it's kind of personal. Like he unfollowed me on my personal Instagram, so like that's fighting to me. Like it was all in bounds until he did some shit like that. Now I just don't care.
He blocked Brett.
I don't think he blocked me. He just unfollowed me. So I unfollowed him. Like I didn't even say nothing bad.
It is the one disappointing of the schedule. The one disappointment of the schedule is that we're not playing Florida State this year.
That would be so funny. Yeah.
I'm disappointed at that and UNC. I think Bill Belichick.
The Bill O'Brien versus Bill Belichick thing. I mean,
Bill Belichick is pissing all over his legacy, man. I feel bad. It's such a shit show at UNC.
It's getting worse. It's getting worse by the day too. By the report.
Yeah. That reporter Pablo Torres. He's just so locked in on that situation. I listened to one of his podcasts or something, and he said like he went to like the Jordan Hudson girl. Her mom has like a sex shop, and he like went there undercover and to like talk to the mom, and he's all over this thing. So,
oh my god!
But dude, I don't know what their schedule looks like, but it'd be pretty funny if they just crash and burn with that whole thing going on. But
I wouldn't think that they're going to be.
No, but I mean, just on the field, I'm pretty sure they have like a top 15 or something like transfer portal class. I think like they'll be talented for sure, but it just seems like such a distraction.
Maybe we'll see them in the ACC championship game.
Marcelo Meyer just hit his first home run of his career.
Really? Oh, that's nice.
I guess
7-1. Great.
7-1.
Yo, I love how on the Bill O'Brien, I don't know if you guys caught this, but on the Bill O'Brien podcast, Bill was kind of like, he was at the game where Marcelo was it was his first MLB game, and everyone was giving us a standing ovation. And Bill was like, why the hell are we giving him a standing ovation? He hasn't played yet. It's a pretty interesting take on the podcast.
Bill O'Brien is such a he's
so old school. He's so old school. He's like, why are we clapping for this guy? He hasn't played.
He's such a sneaky psychopath.
Yeah.
Like he's like this like nice guy, but like deep down, he's just a fucking nutbag.
He just wants to yell, win football games. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I think you have to be a coach to be a good coach at that level. You got to be a little bit psycho for sure. You got to be a little obsessed.
Yeah, you want the guy that sleeps in the office. You want that.
I mean,
do we want to do a bit of a? Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna bring up Tom Brady, but go ahead, continue.
I was gonna say, do we want to do a little bit of an exercise here and see if we can find the most likely path to 8 wins on the schedule?
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
I sure do.
Yeah.
I absolutely do.
All right. So I think Mac, I think you and I were talking. We talked about this last week, but I think if you're gonna go if you're gonna go eight
Gotta start
and
5-0.
4, you got to start 5-0. Yeah,
Gotta start 5-0.
going into that Clemson game, and then because after that, I mean, UConn's the only game after that you should win. But beyond that, it's all either
So
Clemson,
I
Notre
would
Dame,
probably
or
say
just toss up
So
game.
are we trying to get an 8-win regular season?
regular season. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
I think so.
Okay.
I mean,
I'll pull up the schedule.
yeah.
I
No,
think
I
you're
mean, I think
5-0
you
going
know,
into
8-5
Clemson.
with a bowl game win, like that's great. But I just
Mhm.
don't. I don't know. And bowl games are weird. Like, people sit out. People go to the drafts. Like you're playing your
Yeah.
third string lineman.
I think the most
Wow.
likely path is you win the first 5 games, you beat UConn, you beat Syracuse, and you beat SMU. That's the most likely 8-win scenario.
I think so. I get behind that.
That's it.
Syracuse.
You got to win one of those playoff teams, and you got to beat Syracuse for the regional rivalry, and you got to beat UConn as the other regional rivalry, and hopefully you take the first 5 games because those are beatable. You know.
So you said UConn, SMU, and Syracuse.
And then the first 5 games you got to win.
Okay, well, what about Georgia Tech? We can't beat them.
I think you can, but that's a tough game, man. You got Haynes King coming
that's
back.
Tough.
He's one of the most underrated quarterbacks in college football.
Okay, we have Blake James coming. We have Grayson James coming back.
He's probably not going to be starting.
Let's get a 9th win. Let's go.
Exactly.
Let's get a 9th win. Let's beat Georgia Tech. Let's get the 9th win. Let's go to the Pop-Tarts Bowl, or maybe the playoffs. Why are we bending the knee to Louisville too? Then let's get 10 wins. There's 10 wins.
Their quarterback graduated. He was like 30 last year.
Brett, say we go 10-2, and our only losses are to Clemson and Notre Dame. Do we make an argument for the playoffs?
Yeah, because we're going to the ACC championship. We're winning that shit. We're going to the playoff.
Well, you just in that case, you just hope you're in a position to be in the ACC championship,
right?
We will be.
And you play Clemson again.
We'll be a one loss conference team. We'll be 7-1.
You get to play. You probably got to beat Clemson to go again in the ACC championship game to go to the playoffs.
Okay, that's fine. Maybe they're the one team we lose to in the regular season. Maybe
trust me, I'm fine with this scenario.
We lose. Okay, so we lose to them. We're 7-1. We get our grudge match rematch in the New Balance studs. They come out with a sick promo commercial. We got now. It's just Bill O'Brien and Dylan Largan and Eagles Weekly.
All of a sudden, you got Alabama wanting to go with New Balance. You got all these other programs, and they're saying no. We're only sticking with BC.
No, yeah,
Crimson,
I like that.
Crimson Tide Weekly. We expand as New Balance does.
I love it. I love how this is turned into the Delulu land.
This is peak off season. I love this.
Peak off season podcast.
I don't see how that doesn't happen.
Okay, scenario in that 10-2. Say we go for that 11th win, Clemson or Notre Dame. Because if you beat Clemson, now you're running the ACC. But obviously, as a fan perspective, you're saying Notre Dame, right?
Yeah, fuck Notre Dame, especially after the way their burners talked to us last week. They try to steal our song.
Yeah, do you got stuff to say about this? I mean, I know you mentioned you might want to talk about this, but yeah, you got some slack here on online for Notre Dame burners, right?
They tried. They tried. The first thing I asked is the kid. I asked the kid what year he graduated, and he came back and said, "What year did you play for the Red Sox?" Well, because I have a Red Sox jersey on. It's the stupidest. It's such a Notre Dame fan thing to say too. Like, and then this other dude and like crazy, bro. Like, wait till these motherfuckers realize that I do not have a tailgate spot. He's like, yeah, I'll see you at your tailgate. Well, first of all, you didn't graduate from there, and that was the stipulation: is bring your degree, show me your degree. And second of all, I don't have a fucking tailgate. I'm poor.
Yo, that
BC
game
charges a lot of money for those tailgates. I don't go to tailgate.
They do.
You can sneak into them though. Yo,
the BC, not mine, though.
The BC Notre Dame game is definitely the most anticipated game of the this season. I would think you guys would agree with that.
Well, at least for us, I don't know about them, but
Yeah,
I would think
for us.
Boston, I would think even for BC fans and the Boston fans. I mean, that's going to be the ticket of that weekend. Even if
that's the kind of game that if you win, you start to get buy-in from just Boston people, not just BC people.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm saying though. Talk about
that. Jack
that must be the most important
Jack
game.
just hit the nail on the head right there. Like case in point, like
for getting Boston behind your program, that is the biggest game on the schedule.
Yeah.
And I to be like about the whole Twitter thing, I've never been one to like chirp, like to go out of my way to chirp people like, oh, you didn't go to Notre Dame, you didn't go to Clemson, whatever. Because like, I don't know, I would love if people like didn't go to BC but lived in the Boston area, like supported BC. I would love that.
Yeah, that's what we're
No, but when you got like people that went to Indiana State or Ball State calling us backup college, then it's like come on, man. It's your you went to the backup for the backup college, like that's where the Twitter became a little far.
Notre Dame is notoriously known for like most of the fans didn't go to Notre Dame, correct? Like I think,
yeah, and which I think is great because you build a brand that
I'm fine.
They're the Cowboys. They're the Cowboys of college football.
Yeah,
sure.
But I'm still gonna crack the joke because it's still funny to me.
Yeah, totally. No, I will say I wish there was a Boston College bandwagon. Unfortunately, we have not won enough to warrant one. But I think, I'm still gonna get my jokes off.
You make a great point though with the game though, getting Boston behind them because all of Boston's going to be at this game. It's going to be a hot ticket. It's going to be almost impossible to go to. It's going to be an expensive ticket, and all of Boston sports fans are going to be watching this game. It's going to be on every TV in Boston. People are going to be tuned in, and if BC can pull off that schedule and see Bill O'Brien on the TV screen, I mean, half of them are going to be like, wait, when was Bill O'Brien the head coach of Boston College? And then they're beating Notre Dame. Talk about a switch,
Totally.
Huge moment for this
or
city.
Even just like the people that know that he's the head coach and like they haven't really been following and they're like, oh shit, like this guy really is up to something.
That was a joke. He's actually doing something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, big deal for the BC brand and for the program. I mean, like we said, honestly, when we were talking about that, Jack, would you rather go 6-7 winning season and beat Notre Dame? I mean, honestly, it might give you more of a boost than otherwise.
And the other thing is if they went if BC ended up 6-6, sorry to cut you off, Jack, but if BC goes 6-6 and they beat Notre Dame, that's a fucking black eye on them. That makes it even funnier that they lost.
That's the classic Boston College, like in the bad losses columns on the selection show, like bad losses Boston College.
Yep.
But that's classic.
Which returns this year.
Just to put a bow on the Notre Dame thing, there is something to be said because, like, I mean, so many Irish Catholic people identify with a French school in Notre Dame, but they're called the Irish, so that's who they root for. But even like I remember, like when I lived in Southie a couple months ago, the bar across the street from me was a Notre Dame bar in the middle of Boston. It's very weird, but like there's definitely like that kind of person in Boston that will root for Notre Dame. But I mean, if you can sway like some of those people, or even the people that aren't necessarily Notre Dame fans, but they're just gonna have eyes on TVs, with a big time national matchup against Notre Dame, like that's huge. That's huge. That's a huge game. Probably bigger than any game that was on the schedule last year, honestly.
There's huge potential for that sway because you got a bunch of Irish Catholic old school guys that they watch Notre Dame because not only because they're really amazing to the Boston Irish immigrants, but because they're on NBC every day. You could watch them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the reason and the legacy behind it. That's the reason they watch them. But you now have BC on national television this season, and they start winning, and you get Bill O'Brien there, and you the familiar face with that. I mean, there's sway to be had.
Yeah,
the Boston fans. So. I mean, I'm glad this was brought up because that Notre Dame game is huge. When we're talking about the brand, this whole podcast. I mean, that is your big show right there, is on NBC, national television, and not just from a national perspective, from a Boston perspective. The fans that watch college football are watching Notre Dame. Well, that could be switched.
I just hope you can go into that.
You guys after this, finish up.
I was gonna say, you just hope that you have some sort of momentum going to that. Like, you hope you can be 5-3, 6-2, or something with like some sort of win of like a good win against Louisville or a
You can
competitive
go,
game against Clemson or
you
something
only
like
have 2
that. Like,
losses on your schedule going into that.
if they limp into that game 4-4, like I'm not gonna like. It's not gonna be that much like this. It's not gonna be the same kind of game that we're talking about right now.
Changes
To
the
get
story.
to get to that point, they're gonna have to be 5-3, 6-2, something like that, which they very well could be based on their first 5 games. But yeah, that's gonna be important.
Who's preying on Bill O'Brien's downfall the absolute most?
Stupid Houston fans.
Jack?
Sean Watson. I don't know.
You're both.
I think everyone has a positive.
I will say no. He made Deshaun Watson look very good.
Yeah, there's one answer.
Who?
There's one clear-cut answer. Who's preying on Bill O'Brien's downfall the most?
Who are you thinking?
Earl Grant.
Earl Grant.
Earl Grant.
I'm lost.
You're gonna have to walk me through that one, Brett. I'm not sure I follow.
There's no fucking way that Earl Grant wants to see this football team reach the levels of success while he continues to go down the, proverbial toilet.
I don't follow this one. Brett.
Think about it. There's no fucking way he's rooting for
BC though, and BC football doesn't do well. There goes any potential money or lifting up.
Yeah, but if they do awesome and then he goes out there and they go 4-14 in ACC again, like
no one's gonna care. No one's gonna care. If BC goes 9-3 and basketball goes, I think that's more heat off Earl Grant, if anything.
Yeah, because then people are just talking about football.
No way.
If Bill O'Brien leads us to the Pop-Tart Bowl or like goes 9-4 or something.
Yeah. I
think people give less of a shit about basketball.
Yeah. I think everyone's rooting for Bill, to be honest, Brett. Like and when we're talking about who's not rooting for him, I think every place he's gone to has come away with a really positive view on Bill O'Brien besides Houston. And how that went down at the end, but like, look at the Penn State fans. I mean, in the messages,
they love him.
Positive.
They love him
when anything comes up with Bill O'Brien. And so Penn State's like so pro Bill O'Brien. Alabama fans is kind of iffy with it, but honestly, he did a great job.
He turned Bryce Young into a Heisman runner.
Yeah, and then even Ohio State, he was there for like a month, and look, you got a national championship. So I don't know why he won.
Where's Bill's ring?
Yeah, exactly. I've been saying this. Where's his ring?
Where's Bill's ring? He earned it.
Everywhere he goes is good. I mean, yeah, I'm feeling now that we've really set the perspective and context of the season, though, man, having a big year this year would mean so much more than any other year, man, just based on who they're playing.
Yeah. I mean, going 7-5 last year, I think, it was like a bigger, like a more positive than expected, like over the expected number of wins. I think he overperformed, I'd say, last year, but it's just very important he doesn't take a step back. I think like if they like this, like you said, Mac, the first full off season, this is Bill's team.
And I think having the same record as last year with this record would be a step forward. I think so.
I mean step back as in like looking at the product on the field, not necessarily wins and losses.
Would be probably considered a step back, depending on who you beat. But again, I think, there's so much momentum here. I mean, just if we're looking at just the recruiting too, and we talked about this in previous podcasts, how good he's doing at recruiting. I mean, as we're recording now, which is Friday night, this weekend they have 2 4-stars coming in, at least 2 4-stars that are taking visits to Boston College.
Talk about them.
The number one, can you just refresh my name on the pronouncing of the offensive lineman that's coming in, Jack?
Markey?
Yeah, we got Markey coming in.
Markey Wahlberg?
Markey Wahlberg, who's the number 1 Massachusetts recruit. He's coming in this weekend.
He's number 4 now.
In Massachusetts?
I think he's number one offensive or offensive lineman, I think.
The number 1 recruit is Carter Gooden, who's
Yeah.
also.
Well, right, and you have Carter Gooding as well, who's coming up, I think, in like the following weekend. So you got a lot of big recruits coming in. They also just got to commit as we were on the air tonight. The kid didn't announce, but they did get an official visit commitment just now. So you're looking at what Bill's doing with that. I mean, the future is bright, but again, the wins and losses are going to be the huge tell, and that's what's going to drive the momentum here. And what Jack's saying is we have momentum from last year, even with that loss in the bowl game, which didn't really matter because the roster was different. You got tons of momentum here, and you got so many. We talked about eyes on BC last year because we did have a lot of good primetime games. This year, more than any other year, more people are going to be watching BC, and that's going to be huge for recruiting and everything that Bill O'Brien's trying to set up, and also really important for revenue too, because now that the ACC is more of this, is the revenue share is based on eyeballs you get on TV. I mean, this could be a huge year for BC revenue-wise. I mean, if you're playing at least 3 playoff teams at home, you got the Michigan State game on the road, national televised as well. More eyes on BC, and you're going to get more eyes on BC if we have a decent record. People are going to tune in to like a 7-2 BC team instead of a 4-4 BC team. That's going to really, really influence positively or negatively on the revenue going forward too. So we got to keep around. There's just so much at stake, I think, for this season. It's a way bigger deal, and I think people are talking about it. We're all very positive. We're all happy. There's momentum here, but I mean, this is the year to win. Even if it's not overall, every game is important when it comes to setting out yourself up for the next season.
Let's go.
Even Fordham, man. I'll be locked in for Fordham. I will say one thing about Marky Walbridge, which is the most Massachusetts name I've ever heard in my life. But he's currently crystal ball to Michigan back in March. Steve Lorenz of the Michigan Insider predicted him back in March to Michigan, but he's still visiting BC, I think, today, like this weekend.
So he's visiting this weekend. And I think that crystal ball's cooled down a little bit. I mean, it's a
6 out of 10. So
I even heard AJ Black talk about this and other local recruits, but like they really all are on the same page of we don't know where he's going. I guess the recruit himself, Markey, hasn't really been talking to anyone. So he's taking an official visit this weekend. And again, we have no idea. He could be one of those guys that, hey, wants to stay home. I mean, that's pretty high percentage people that just want to stay home, or they're, influenced through their parents as well. So that's a big one to watch, because if you get another 4-star in this 26 class, and someone that stays home, I mean, that's a huge one. Him and Gooden for me are the most on my radar as far as official visits.
Well, Gooden would be he'd be like BC's one of their highest ranked recruits ever. He's top 70 in the country. He seems like a beast.
He's top 100. He'd be like the highest rated recruit in BC since for 20 years, I think. Since we started recording and evaluating this stuff. So. Lots of interesting things, man. We gotta if anyone can do it, it would be the staff though. So excited to see about the visit stuff.
Hopefully he heard your recruiting pitch last pod. I'll send it to him. I'll send it to him, and he can watch it so he can it'll help make up his mind.
Yeah, man. I love it. I mean, I think the biggest thing that we talked about was that, you're able to keep these guys home and keep these guys from New England, the talent in New England, to BC. And we should. We're the only Power 4 school in New England. I mean, everyone should be wanting to stay home here now that you have also a Boston guy with Bill O'Brien here. So I think that's the biggest pitch is, stay home in Boston.
Agreed.
Now you got New Balance, to rep. Go Boston all down the line.
Mac, I think we were both pretty down after going through the schedule one by one last week. I will say Brett has me a bit more excited, a bit more positive now. I can see 8 wins. I mean,
I'm
if I was betting money, if I was betting money on a number, I think I put it at 6. But I could pretty easily see 8 happening.
I don't think 8's out of the question. I think it's like
not at all. If you start 5-0, you got to win 3 for the last 7.
The most likely thing is 7 or 8 wins. I think, honestly, me going to this season very positive, and seeing all the talent they have and seeing the upside they have at quarterback. Again, that's the biggest thing. That's why I'm so excited about the Michigan State game, because I want to see whoever the starter is. I want to see him, like, how good he is in this offense. The upside on quarterback so high. So I think realistically, and if you trust Bill O'Brien's ability to get these quarterbacks ready to play, 7-8 wins is probably likely. 7 or 8 wins, and then maybe the quarterback is better than anything we're seeing, because the upside is there for a special season.
What
Talk me into it, Mac. You're talking me into it.
Would you guys, to switch gears a little bit here, would you guys think of the basketball post, the practice they
First
posted
practice?
today? Yeah,
I saw that.
I like it. A lot of new faces.
Content.
I like it. It's good content. Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I should text my boy Chase, our boy Chase, see how he's doing. He had a long journey. He had a long journey from South Dakota, so I hope he's doing well.
Yeah. Seems like he's here. Seems like he made it.
The further we go along, the more positive I am on the BC.
I think. So I will say I think it's a lot of unproven pieces in terms of power conference ACC type experience, which could be the same could be said for last year, but I do think the roster the way it's constructed makes a ton more sense this year than last year.
Oh my God, yeah, absolutely.
Last year we had so many guards, so little size.
It didn't make any sense.
It was a mess. It was very. We've said it so many times. It was very reactive rather than reactive to the transfers, everything. But this is much more. A lot more intention behind the way this roster is put together.
Absolutely.
So I will say I'm excited. I think I'm very high on Chase Forte, Jason Asamoah as a duo. I think, I think they have the personnel to be fun, athletic, fast. The first posts yesterday or today was good reminder. Good reminder that they're still there.
It reminds me of the promo they threw up last year. Same thing. It was like all new faces. I thought Luka Taze was going to be all ACC based off that one clip, and the hype was not real, so to speak. But it's always good to kind of see that type of stuff. It does look like the team's going to have a heartbeat this year.
Yeah. You said about not to bag on Luka Taze on my soapbox here, but I've never been much of a believer in Luka Taze from the when he committed. He looks like he's very small, obviously, but I will say on some of their West Coast games this year, he did show some flashes of ability to play and score within the ACC. So I think as a backup point guard, I could see him being a net positive on this team.
Sure.
If you not that you asked for my opinion on Luka Taze, but I'm happy to give it. But I do think I think this team they have depth more so than anything especially in the front court, which they were sorely lacking last year. Especially when they had guys like Eli Strong go down, they were playing Roger McFarland at the 4, and it just did not work.
Got some height finally too. Height's nice.
Yeah, they got Asamoah, Aiden Shaw, Bowden Kapke from Butler, the huge guy, Jane Hastings.
Mm-hmm.
They got really good pieces there in the front court. So I think, I think they're going to be. I think they'll be fun to watch. I think that they'll have the ability to at least keep up with teams in the ACC. I mean, who knows how good they'll actually be at this point? I mean, but they at least have the personnel where I feel like we'll have a shot going to each game, which more than can be said for last year.
Yeah.
Just get into the tournament. Just get in the ACC tournament, and then
that tournament. Just,
yeah. Oh yeah, we're talking realistically.
Yeah. Pump the brakes, man. Pump the brakes.
And then let's go on a little run there, like that first year under Grant. That was exciting for fans. Like you gotta at least have that.
It's the classic Boston College run that baseball just had, where you have such a shitty regular season, but then so you play on the first day, and then you win 2 games, and
it proves like you could play at this level. But
and it's like, oh, where was this? Where was this the whole year? But yeah. But
I know.
No, yeah,
UNC, I was like, oh shit. Then obviously they lost, but
yeah, and then Colo Russo, he's threw like 200 pitches in 3 days, so which is insane. But yeah, that's it's a good little segment on basketball. I always appreciate it, Brett, when you throw it that way.
You got it.
Anything else? Yeah. Anything else you want to touch on? I had the agenda here. Some just general things. It's very off-season stuff, but I don't know.
I like
Father
how you
Jack,
mentioned-
Leahy, women's
Yeah,
legs.
I like how you talked a little bit on AJ's pod, Brett, about Father Jack, because I know we had a podcast a little bit about him, but I think that is going to be a major influence too this year. And I think he understands more than, obviously more than Father Leahy, and is more of an advocate, I should say, for BC football. And, based on the stuff we talked about, whether it's with New Balance or with the revenue sharing with the ACC schools, all this different stuff. I mean, again, I think focusing on BC football to really bring in more revenue for the school, because it's going to affect all the other athletics. We've talked about how much you see the SEC start to influence basketball with the football money. You can see how much now, especially if schools are going to start to be able to pay players, how much the revenue is going to be a big deal here going forward. So yeah, Father Jack, I think, is a huge development for not only for the school, but especially for BC athletics. So I'm glad you kind of talked a little bit about that.
Yeah, I wonder how much we'll see of him this year, because I feel like I never saw Leahy at sporting events. Like when he was at that press conference.
That's the first time I saw him in person.
That was the first time I'd seen him in a capacity like that. So I wonder. Hopefully, Father Jack is a bit more public in his appearances.
I think that's the biggest. I'm glad you brought that up, though, Jack, because the first time I saw him, obviously, was the Pinstripe Bowl and in person, and I asked him that question about, college football, and do you think BC could be that fifth Boston team? Because it's pretty much a professional sport now, college football. And he obviously gave the most Leahy, most BC answer ever. But I'd be interested to be able to ask, Father Jack that same question. And based on what I've read and based on people I've talked to, I think he has a very different tone on that question, which is, not that, okay, we're going to do things as usual. And, and Blake James, I think, chimed in too. And it was pretty much the same thing they've been saying forever about the BC athletics. But I think he understands, no, this is a changing environment. We have to stay ahead of it. Otherwise you fall behind. And when it comes to BC football, it's a professional sport. And if schools are going to start paying players, there's a lot of stuff, serious things we need to talk about. And so you think about Father Jack, his understanding of that. Bill O'Brien, clearly he's got a ton of experience understanding this as well. It's moving. It's not only just moving in the right direction. At least you have the right people in place, and you can feel a little more confident for the people up top making these decisions.
Yeah, totally. So I think, is this year he's still technically in charge, right? And then after next year, and then
what was that date? Yeah. Was it the end of this year?
2026, I think. But yeah, hopefully, I'm sure Father Jack would be involved, visible in some sort of capacity.
Yeah, it'd be great to see him at every football game and out there.
Yeah. It'd be funny if they're playing Notre Dame on NBC and they shoot up to the box and it's oh, Father Jack, president of Boston College.
Yeah, that's interesting to think that, though. But I would think you'd be way more visually there, because you think about, why are they doing this whole kind of lame duck situation where you have two presidents, right? And maybe it is to get him out there and to be more of a public figure and kind of transition into that. That would be from a sports fan's perspective, that would be nice to see him a little more in the public realm and kind of starting to take on those duties when it comes to athletics.
Yes, peaceful transfer of power. I'm a big supporter of that.
Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, awesome. Anything to talk about before we wrap up?
That's it from me. Any other final thoughts from you guys?
Well, we're super in the off season. Oh, we got the bases loaded, Brett. That's nice.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. Peak off season, talking 9-3, talking Pop-Tart Bowl,
talking
an ACC championship. Love it.
Love it. BC
Pop-Tart
basketball
ball is
going
important.
tournaments. You know, this is very peak off season. But
Yeah.
the nice thing is it's all positive stuff. I mean, it's all stuff that is very.
Oh, that's
you
what
can
the
be-
offseason is. It's all
You
positive
can be
unless you're
hopeful.
the University of North Carolina.
It's less delusional, I would say, then.
Yeah.
Because I agree, it is always positive, but I think there's some more stuff that you can actually plant your feet on and actually say some of these things, which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
All right,
Well,
boys. 27.
That's all I got. Anything else before we close the books on 27? 27, the Justin Simmons episode.
Good pull.
Nice. I like it.
I got to come prepared with some of these with some of these because I
Turbo Richard.
I'm always scrambling. Turbo Richard, yeah, good one.
The Turbo episode.
Oh,
Yeah.
Marion Davis episode as well.
There you
Is
go.
he also 27?
Yeah, freshman DB who also balled out this spring.
It's the Jawan Tribble episode. Is that out?
Love that.
No, it's foul. All right, episode 27 in the books. Make sure you follow us on all socials, Eagles Daily BC, and the podcast account, Eagles Weekly BC. We will be back next week. And with that, we are out. Go Eagles.
Go Eagles.
Go Eagles.